Hey y'all! What's going on? Welcome to Soulful She.
I am Daphny Emily.
And Eerees Eerees.
And we are
Soulful She!
two bodacious beauties from Brockton, unraveling our truth on identity, mental health. I had it in my head and I lost it. Identity, mental, fashion. Fashion was gonna be last.
Oh, okay. And empowerment.
Through conversations from the soul.
It is wonderful to see you guys. I just want to say that we've missed you, and you probably don't realize it, but we ended up not being able to record our last session because of technical difficulties, but our amazing videographer was on top of it. Jonathan, John, Mello Vieira was doing
Whole
his
business.
Thing. Facts.
Whole legal name.
Do I know his last name? Yes, I do. I won't say it. But we had technical difficulties, so we weren't able to record during the time that we did. So, like, we missed you guys, but you don't know that we missed you.
She said it all. I would have just kept rolling with it, like, well, here we are today. But you know, shit wasn't working. But now we here.
Yes. And as we always start, we start with, let's keep it real quick. So, Daphne, talk to us. Talk to our soulful friends. Keeping it real quick. How do you feel?
I'm alright. I'd be just busy, working, moving, unpacking, organizing. One thing, I was really annoyed last night, but I was hangry, and I realized I was really annoyed because, like, if you're moving and everything's packed up, I'm gonna ask you a question, okay, Iris? Everything's packed up. Now you've settled into this new place, and you have to unpack.
Okay.
When you unpack, what do?
You remove things from the box,
And then?
and you put them in their place.
All right, that's what you do. You remove them.
I answered this correctly.
Yes, because I was really when you said remove them from the box, I was like, this better end
where I need it to be.
Because then you would be part of the problem. No, but my thing, I got really annoyed because it was like the mindset of we need to remove things from boxes, but then just placing them, and I'm just like, well, it was better organized in the box than just sitting on the counter now in space where I can see it and not organized. So I had to make a comment about that yesterday, even though I was hangry, and be like, I was being very passive aggressive, but I was like, I'm the type of person that if I'm removing something from a box, I put it in the place that it belongs, and not just on the counter. Because that defeats the purpose of unpacking. So you just want to take everything out of boxes and then continue having a mess. I'd rather just have a bunch of boxes everywhere. So that happened. And I thought about it, and I felt like I had to ask, like, what would you do? Because I just felt like the most logical and appropriate thing to do is to put it where it belongs.
I'm thinking about unpacking for groceries. And when I unpack for groceries, I do take things out of the bag to see it in the counter and then put it away. But I completely understand what you're saying. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you in no way, shape, or form. But yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, so that happened. But it was only a few items, not a lot. So it was really my hangriness coming into play. But like, I'd rather have a bunch of boxes for a while if it's taking me time to organize them correctly than put them all on a table and then have a mess. Because then I get stressed. So.
And one thing to be mindful of for you specifically is, if our soul friends do not know, and if you're okay with me sharing, Daphne is moving into a space that she has been before. So like, would it be like, stepping back, do you know where things would go versus does he know?
Doesn't matter, just ask.
Woo, okay.
I know he knows it don't belong on the counter. That's
very
for
true.
Sure.
You make a valid point.
But yes, my mind, and I'm also very much a Virgo, so like organization is something that is very, like, you did that. It's very much like things go where they go, and they always go where they go.
Yeah.
We can have a mess, but it's because I know that mess belongs in a certain space and it will make it there.
Yeah.
But that's like, if they're not in boxes and the mess is there.
Yeah.
But if they're in boxes and we're removing them, we just know they go into specific spaces. Now, I've already been given the speech about how he doesn't put away the groceries sometimes because he knows I have a particular way.
Oh.
And I appreciate that more, even though sometimes I just don't want to put the groceries away by myself. But I know that if it's wrong, it's just worse in the end. So just let me do it all by myself from the top, and then we can avoid everyone feeling away. Not
from the top. But I guess the question is, then wouldn't if he said that, if he is mindful when he will put away the groceries, wouldn't that make it even more of a sense of like, don't take things out of the box? Not that you needed more, like, you know.
I know, I just was hangry, and when I was ready to be on attack, I just put up...
You did it.
I gave a warning beforehand and explained where this is coming from. So he understood and didn't allow for me to proceed and build off of that. It became a lot of, okay, we can worry about it in a little bit. Yeah. Hey, are you hungry? Yes. But... in general, I just know my mind has things specific in specific spaces, and I get that not everyone thinks like me.
Yeah.
I get no one thinks like me, but that happened. But I'm good today. It is that time of the month, so last night was another thing that happened that really had me ready to cut everyone's heads off. I think, like, you guys texted about today, and that's why I answered nope on because that's the best I could give at that time. It was really like, let me just dead this right now because I know how I feel, and just that option is not even on the table.
Okay.
In the best ways.
No.
I meant it from the kindness of my heart.
Listen, don't even worry.
But yeah, that's how I'm feeling right now.
There's a lot going on.
My mind is just buzzing because of moving and having to organize. So when I'm in that state of like, I know I have so much to do, the lists are running through my head, that if one little thing pops in that is not of plan, I'm ready to freak out on everybody because that was not part of the plan. But that's it. And that's just the Virgo in me really going hard right now. It's really going hard.
I will say that this Virgo I don't see often.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
There are Virgos that are a lot worse than me. But I have self-control in most of my tendencies. Like, I had a car that would have, you can select the temperature for each side of the front, so the passenger would have its own temperature, and the driver would have their own and the passenger. But I always like them to be the same. And I had someone change it once, and I reacted. But it wasn't their fault, and they couldn't understand why, and I just...
But you went off on them.
And I didn't. I just was like, don't do that. And they were just like, but I'm hot. And I'm like, then tell me and we can put it down. Like, I'd rather put both of them down so they're the same number than put one at 70 and the other one at whatever. Like, no.
So, friends, what have we learned? When you get in a car with Daphny,
like, you can change the temperature. Just, it gotta be the same all around. Like, I'll be freaking cold if you feel hot. I'm that type of person. Like, if you feel hot, I'll be cold in the car.
Yeah.
We can put down the temperature, but it gotta be the same. I can't be looking at all these different digits. No.
Good to know.
Yeah, so it doesn't come out often, but it does. Sometimes I look back and think, wow, you didn't have to do all that, but, you know. My brain does what it does.
Are. Yes.
Yeah.
I will say, I said that because there was a lot of times when we go on Instagram and I find Virgo related things and I send it your way and I'm just like, this doesn't sound like Daphne. But then, like, now I'm hearing and I was like, this is Daphne. She just doesn't, it just doesn't pop out like that.
Yeah, I try to be respectful as much as possible. Well, I like, you know me. I'm candid and honest and all of that. So that's where disrespect and all that comes about. So it's like, I already shell out that in the world. I already do all that work that, like, we don't need to add it elsewhere, because then I just would be a horrible person that people can't deal with, and
you don't need that.
I gotta walk this earth and be around people, so
you gotta interact with folks.
Yeah.
Well, on another note, keeping it real quick for myself.
Always learn something new.
No, seriously. Keeping it real quick for myself. I got a lot of emotions, a lot of things that are going on in my head. There's a lot of good stuff that are happening because of my job, because of the opportunities. But then there's also, like, I just feel like there's a lot of different moving pieces and a lot of different things that are happening in my life that I'm just like, wow, life is moving fast. Life is moving fast. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot to process. There's a lot to reflect. And I'm like really contemplating life and like the decisions that I am making for my future. And it's just like, am I making the right decisions? I don't know. But I am like putting my best foot forward and trying. But I think that right now there's just a lot of emotions going on. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of activity.
It's cancer season. I think I just attested to that.
Yeah.
We're gonna blame all the cancers.
We're gonna blame all the cancers.
I'm a Cancer moon, so I'll take some of the heat.
Yeah. And how you express yourself, you're very much expressing it. You're a Cancer moon.
I'm just very confusing all around in terms of my signs. So
yeah,
they combat each other often. But continue. I don't want to interrupt you.
No worries. But I think that right now, keeping it real quick, I got a lot on my mind. But then at the same time, I don't got much on my mind. It's confusing. It's confusing. I hope you guys are with me.
If I didn't lose you at the beginning. But yeah, like my signs are definitely a mess. I mean, not a mess, because I'm a great person.
So you're a Virgo sun, moon on Cancer, and what's your rising?
Leo.
Oh,
this snap don't happen for no reason.
That's why I get it now.
Yeah.
So just an FYI, so sun is who you are and your personality. Moon is the emotions that how you express your emotions, and your rising is how people perceive you. And so the fact that you are a Leo moon, Leo rising, I was like,
it makes sense why people just look at me and look away right
Virgo,
away. Yeah.
I mean, Daphne knows how to like, I'm here, but in a very insidious way, but like also, so it's like,
It's like I had an interview once, and it's like, I'm nice to everyone. I like to make people laugh, but people just know not to mess with me. Like, I'm the person that people like, just don't mess with her. And I'm like, I don't know what I do to make people feel that way, because I don't really try to make people feel any way. But
Leos are out there.
I am more of a fire sign than I am of everything. I have a lot of Leo in my birth chart. So.
Okay.
And apparently it's making a lot of sense to people in the room. I'm getting a lot of head shakes and facial
in the background. but
I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. I recently also had a conversation with somebody who I know from afar, and I only recently began to build a relationship with her. And can I just say, she's a badass woman. Like, she just moves confidently, moves unapologetically, and I'm just like, yes, girl, yes, queen, continue to be who you are. And then I recently shared with her that I'm a Sag Stallion, which a stallion that means that there's 3 clusters of like Sag. So basically, I'm a Sag sun, Sag moon, and Sag rising.
Oh, you are all of the above.
Basically. So like how I present myself, the emotions that I have, and the way that I perceive myself are all Sag. And that isn't often the case for many people. So like,
she's a Sag. I see it all the time in different spaces, and I think so many people don't see it because of the bubbly personality and friendliness and all this excitement, but like, to the core of it, when I'm watching you sometimes, I'm like, oh, she's being such a sage. Like,
really?
The rebellious nature you have.
Huh?
You be hella rebellious, and you mix that with being hella adventurous.
Yeah.
So, and I think the rebellion comes from the adventurous side of you.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just that I see it. Sometimes you're just ready to jump head first and do something. And then I have to be the one that's like, Iris, but like we could have did this. And you're like, you know what? I should have texted you first. And I'm like, well, but I'm also very much like, what's done is done. And I support you. Just next time. Maybe.
Chat with me first.
We do something else.
That's why I keep her around.
It's so funny because I should be the one that you would think to be like, I'm going to do something and then you have to check me. But no, very, very often, I don't check you, but very often we have to be like, let's bring it back a little bit. Let's look at the whole view. Let's pull what we're seeing and let's make sense of this.
Yeah.
And you just be like, no, I said this. And I'd be like, I mean, yeah, you said that. This is what I would have said.
But yeah.
But it's not a bad thing at all. And I say that and it might sound like it because how the world works, they assume like people that act that way, it's a negative. No. Mm-hmm. It's a positive thing because we're in spaces that you would think I'm the one that holds the room and I'm the one that's going to speak up. You're more likely to speak up about something, especially business-wise. You're very much like, this has to be, like, this is what we're talking about, and then we get off course and you're like, all right, let's bring it right back to what we're really talking about. Where I'd be the one to like, I'll let us stagger a little bit and then try to reel it back in. But you're very much like, this is what we're here for. I brought an agenda.
I really do be bringing agendas.
And if you don't have an agenda, she's like, so you wasted my time. So I'm going to leave. You can be better prepared next time. Let me know when you're more prepared and I'll come back in. And I'll be there like, well, I'm going with her. She's my ride. So.
I'm in the passenger seat with the same temperature.
Yeah.
So keeping it real quick, we're a ball of different types of energies, and Cancer Moon is doing its thing to us. And
like we had a friend message us on Twitter and was like, Daphne, you know what to do because it's a Cancer Moon and I'm a Cancer Moon. I liked it, but I didn't really know what to do. And I was like, that must be very Cancer Moon of me to be like, because I read it and I was like, I don't know where to go or how to see or how to breathe. Like, where do I just
sounds
sit?
Very Cancer Moonish.
Right? So I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I guess.
Which reminds me, so also on Twitter, I know we're like bouncing off of places, but we're here. We'll eventually get to it. We're trying to see. On Twitter, I saw this pretty awesome TikTok video, and it was basically people trying to decide which sign would get the most drunk. And so the different signs would like record themselves and be like, oh, we're the air signs, we're blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, we're the fire signs, and we think that the earth signs are going to be the drunkest, or we think that the water signs are going to be the drunkest. And then when the water signs came in and like the Cancer was like, and I'm a Cancer. And it was sounded just like that. But it's happening. Y'all, I will share with you, soul friends, but I will definitely be creating a zodiac themed party in my backyard, and we're gonna have everybody come prepared as however they feel their sign should be presented, exhibited, curated,
conveyed,
expressed. And so I'm hoping to whip that up this summer.
I'm gonna tell you, it's not the earth signs that get drunk.
It's the fire signs.
Because the earth signs like to watch people, and we know that alcohol would fuck that up for us. And we'll drink
the tea.
And at the next day, I'd be like, do you remember what happened yesterday? And if you don't remember, I can tell you from the beginning to the end who said what, who did what, who was wearing what, and why.
So basically,
and why.
Basically, I go to her.
Oh, we do this a lot. Like, we'll go somewhere, and the next day I'd be like, girl, but did you? And you'd be like, no, I didn't notice anything. I was like, yeah, you didn't. But I did. That's what I'm here for. And I'd be like, this person and this person did this look. And then randomly, I feel like I do this, but like I have nothing to back me up. But randomly, someone will have a conversation with you about something, and it will connect to what I said, and you just be like, oh shit, you said that. And I'm like, I be seeing. So yes, zodiac party, earth signs are not going to be the ones to get drunk first. And if we do
we don't
get
know
drunk,
yet. We don't know that.
But if I'm in the room, I'll be watching you too. Don't even play. I won't be drunk. But I know if a Virgo gets drunk, it's because we trust the people around us and we're just like, fuck it. I'm getting fucked up because I have a way to get home safely. That's what's going to happen.
And our Virgo friends know how to get down. So
yeah,
we'll keep you guys posted.
And I would love to know who's the Sagittarius in the room so we can know who's going to be getting everyone else drunk. But from the signs in this party, I can't wait. I'm excited for that.
Me too. I found some like
talking hella shit.
Balloons. So like Cancer, Pisces balloons that are going to be inflated, and I can already see me putting them all over the room and then doing like little, nooks of signs. I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
I am too.
It's going to be fun. But now for the main actual course, because we've been talking a lot.
You would think this is the main course, and it could be. We could go on this for a long time.
Seriously. So one thing that, I don't know why it came up, but it came up into my head and it didn't go away. But I also have been going through things and having conversations with people, and the word villain continues to pop up. And the word villain and accepting the title of villain in certain stories. Because again, we live in a world where there's a gazillion people on this earth, and every single person is living in their own story, but then in someone else's story, within someone else's story. Because like, the world does not revolve around you, but it revolves around the million of different people, and each one of them have their own story. And so coming to terms with, you're gonna be a villain to someone's story. And like, have you come to terms with that? Are you okay with being a villain in someone's story? What is your definition of villain? How does that play into like, what's going on in life? And what do you say when you do have to be a villain in someone's story? And like, last but not least, not last but not least, but like another nugget to think about while we stretch out this topic is, how do you feel like you have been a villain in someone's story, or scenario? So just villains.
I mean, you mentioned the topic earlier, and I smiled, and it was just like mischievous. So I feel like I played the part very well when it came up. The term villain doesn't really feel like much to me, just because I feel like even in movies, no one makes me like, there's only really amazing actors that would be like, damn, I hate you.
Yeah.
But it's very like, if you think like a Disney movie where there's villains, I've never felt a way about the villain. Yeah. I've always been like, all right, cool. And I, like, an example is, we had at this job I used to work at, we used to always do a Halloween party, and we decided one year we would make, my office always was the one that liked to have like the most fun with holidays. So like, we went and made everyone pick out of a bucket superhero or villain. And I was praying that I got villain, and I did.
Hey, look at her.
And I honestly probably would have lied if I got superhero, because I wanted villain. I've always liked more of the edge or the dark side of it, but never assumed that it was such a bad thing. I just, the edginess of it, made me feel cool, and I was Cruella de Vil.
Ooh, yeah. Hello. And have you seen the most recent movie?
I haven't yet, but I heard it's amazing.
Oh my gosh, you would love it.
I need to watch it. But $30, right? It's $30?
Yeah.
See,
we can find somebody.
we'll find a way, Yeah.
Or you can wait until August 27th or 20 something when they open it up to all.
All right. See, when we do that,
let me know. I'll watch it with you.
I'll be there. Yeah, but I love it. So in terms of like superheroes, villains, stuff like that, villains are always what attract me. Not because I want to be a villain, just because I've never felt a way about them in that sense.
Yeah.
But in terms of villains in this world, I feel like there's such a dark world out there that the true villains we have no clue about, or are presented in our faces as something other than actually being a true villain. I think a lot of people are scapegoated into the position of looking like the villain, but not actually being the villains. I think we don't know what the villains really look like.
What does that mean? The people are scapegoating. Say that again.
Scapegoating. That probably might not even be grammatically correct, but yes, I think there are people that are placed as the image of it.
Okay.
There's always an image, but there's really a different mastermind behind it.
Okay.
So I think that the real villains we don't have any clue about, or they're in our faces, but they're not presented as that.
Okay.
And then the people out here that call those people out, the rest of the world is like, you're crazy. So I
That
feel
sounds like gaslighting.
right. But I think, which is, you're right, that it definitely is gaslighting. I think it's one of the things that a lot of people that we may be around, oh girl, if we go into that topic of gaslighting and people that play a certain role but actually villains in the background,
Go ahead.
it can get really ugly in here. So, because I know a couple, but I know one specific person that I could really put into that mindset of being not the person they portray themselves to be. But they're not important. We don't talk about villains up in here. We just talk about the topic of villains.
Okay.
Oh no, we don't give people a stage.
No, definitely not. Yeah. But we are still talking of villains.
Yeah, but definitely I think truly when it comes down to villains are people, the truest villains are people that we don't see perceived as the villains. And I think it's the master manipulators, the gaslighters, the people that play the role as anything but. Because one thing I like the most, and I think that's what I'm not bothered by villains in movies and things like that, is I like people that are candid, because I'm candid. I like people that are open and are honest. So if you are up front with your mess and your evil, I respect that, because like you're saying who you are in my face. I think like the
like Future.
I thought of that as I mentioned it, but I feel like I thought of that as I mentioned it, but you know, that's funny. Someone's a fan of Future, but not because of his music, but because of his personality. But it's like, my question to that was like, is it the personality are you a fan of? Do you agree with him, or do you just like the way he goes about his life? That's where the difference is. Do you agree with the things he says versus how he acts? So if you agree with what he says, then maybe. But if you just respect the fact that he's open and candid and is himself and is like, I think that whatever about women. All right, Future, say what you gotta say.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I love him, but like, can I be mad at him? Yeah, because you be talking shit about women and black women, shit like that. So Future. But anyways.
Back to the real conversation.
Yeah, but anyways, I don't agree with him, but I can see like the candidness of being who you are and just presenting that. I feel like a big time frame that really showed people who they really were.
Yeah.
Were in after George Floyd was murdered.
Oh.
All these people, like I know a lot of people that have all these friends that all of a sudden had all these reasons, or when Breonna Taylor was murdered, how come he had a gun in the house? How come he shot back? How come he was resisting arrest? And it was like, oh, so you real racist. This whole time I didn't even know, and now we see it. So like
your true colors.
Yeah, and I feel like that's when a lot of it came about. Like 8,000 people in our city voted for Donald Trump, and it was like, yo, Brocktonians out here, like
one of the biggest funders of Trump.
Oh yeah, the highest funding county in Massachusetts was Plymouth. So, and we're in that county, and it was just like, so I be seeing y'all neighbor, and you'll be over here kikiing with us and blah blah blah, and you out here voting for Trump. Those are the people that I call villains, because you faking the hell out of it in front of my face. Same with that house that has had the Trump flag, but now has
and
the
then
other
they took
flag.
it down.
When there was a protest, the day of the protest, that flag was nowhere to be found. The next week, when things calmed down, that flag was right up there, loud and proud again. I was like, oh, so you can't handle the heat
on Elm Street
when it's on your street. Yeah. You can't handle the heat when it's on your street. And if you drive by, that flag's not there, but you'll know exactly what house it is. Just don't do nothing, because then we're not.
We haven't said anything to anyone.
But it's that thing. Like, I feel like people like that are villains. You are sneaky, you're deceiving, you're doing it Like, they're loud and proud, but as soon as there's a protest, like, I gotta take down my flag, because, like...
Two-faced.
Yeah, and it's just like, nah, you've been so proud and loud and hanging your flag. Put it up there so we can walk by, chant by, and, you know, if anything happens, if there's repercussions, stand by your flag, man. Stand by your flag. You want it up there, stand by it. So for me, I think just that, like, the sneakiness about it, just people faking one thing and showing something else, and I think that came about a lot within the last year.
Yeah.
So that's like examples of what I can think of what a villain is to me.
Okay.
Fake ass people. That's it.
Okay.
Fake ass people are the villains to me. Gaslighters, the people that, it's not even fake like you're my friend and you go and talk shit behind my back. It's the fake in the sense of you portray yourself as one person, and in
but
the
you're
back,
really something else.
you're doing completely different than what you're portraying. And especially, and I mean, the biggest example are the racists. But anywho, I'll just leave it there for me. That's who I think of when I think of villain.
Yeah.
Those are fake ass people.
Yeah.
They're the villains.
Okay. One thing that I was thinking about while I was thinking about villains is being okay with being labeled as the villain.
I was gonna get there, but I wanted to leave it at the what I think a villain is.
Yeah. I'll move us there.
What do you think a villain is? You really be trying, but you gotta answer the question too.
I'm just trying to move.
No, it's your turn to talk.
Who are villains? I think that villains are malicious. Villains are also two-faced because they're not fully showing who they are. Villains are spiteful. Like, I just think of emotions. I think of emotions of, like, just the way the decisions that you are making, you know they're not the right decision, but you continue to make them and you want to. Like, it brings you joy to make those malicious acts. And so that's what I believe when it comes to villains. And it's hard because, like, I'm thinking about that, what I told you, but then I'm also thinking about, like, I was also a fan of villains. Like, Joker was the number one character that, like, I was obsessed with, specifically after Dark Knight. But then I'm also mindful of, like, in scary stories and horror stories and even in all films, like, me being the person that loves to understand why, I always step back and realize that a villain, when you fully look at their story, they decided to make those decisions because of something that happened. So it's like, I'm not accepting the decision that they made, nor am I defending it, but I am being mindful of, okay, this is why he got there, or this is why she got there, this is why they got there, because of all of whatever that happened that created the villain that they are now. So, like, I'm also very mindful of, like, I enjoyed seeing the villains and I enjoyed watching the villains in film because their story developed in such, like, their story character development really developed, and it showed you why they are the way that they are.
I think psychology does play a lot into that, and it just made me think of occasionally I listen to serial killer podcasts.
Yes.
Because it's the story behind what they've done that I just, like, what the fuck have they gone through that someone gets to that point? And it's like, of course they're the biggest evil and all these things, and of course not defending anything, but, like, when you listen to the story of when they were younger, things add up that you see how they got to where they got. Like, there's specific ones that, like, he only murdered men because they said he was gay, but I can't confirm that. He was also raped since he was young by a male family member. And, like, things like that. And then the way he learned about sex was through force. So he associated force with the pleasure of sex. So to get pleasure from sex is to be forceful. So like learning that is like, damn, like people go through shit and then they become this person. And of course, no excuses on what they've done and what they did, but damn, it's the story behind it. So yeah, same way with how you felt about the villains in movies. It's like learning the backstory kind of makes you think differently about them, that it's not like your mindset on them being the villain, but understanding why they became the villain.
What actions created that mindset?
Yeah.
I agree. And then moving it on to being labeled as a villain. Talk to us about that.
Haters gonna hate. I told you this earlier. Haters gonna hate. I don't give a damn. No.
I thought you were about to rap.
One thing I can't do is that. I'm slick with my words, but rapping is not for me.
Yeah.
You hear this voice, sometimes I listen to the podcast, I'm like, can you speak up? Like, I be talking so low. Imagine.
Listen, that'd be a sexy ass rap though.
These whisper rappers on here. But it took me a while to get to a point where I've accepted that not everyone is going to like you. And for the most part, it's because they don't know you. I think the people that I have been in situations that have disliked me, they haven't gotten to know me or cared to know me, but because of a perception or what they've seen, and it usually plays into another person. It's an attachment to a specific person.
Okay.
That creates this, the word of the week is disdain. That's the word I was trying to remember earlier. I've had a lot of disdain for people this week, and I've also thought about a lot of people that have disdain for me. And I think that a lot of people that feel that way about me, it's really not about me personally, but an attachment to someone that they think I may also have an attachment to.
Oh, so that perception.
Yeah, so it's been in many situations. So like in versus like a female that is into a male that I may have a connection with, or a friend that I'm just a friend with someone and their friend having disdain for me because we have this friendship. Yeah. In many ways. I mean, even family, I've seen it in many ways. And I think that it's just become one of those things that it ain't personal until you disrespect me. So if you don't like me from over there, then
stay over there.
You over there, I'm chilling, like I'm living. And it's a bad tendency I may have, or a bad thought that I may have, is that's a whole lot of power to give me. Now, do I use this power? No, because I could really give less of a damn of how you feel about me. But that's a lot of power to give someone else.
What do you mean by that?
Like for the people that feel a way about me.
Like the villain negative emotions.
Yeah, like I'm a villain to them. It's just giving me a lot of power in the situation that like you don't even know me and you're putting all this energy towards me. So now you feel a way if I'm in the room. You have things to say when I'm not in the room. Like in my face, you give me nothing, but behind my back, you do all of this. Or like again, you're in the corner and you may be staring me down and feeling away, and I'm just out here living and breathing, chilling, moving. I'm
not actually trying to do anything
not paying
related
attention,
to.
you know. And it's just like that's a whole lot of power to give someone else and that energy to take away from yourself, where you could be self-loving yourself. Yeah. Instead of worried about someone else. So for me, in terms of like feeling about people putting me into that villain category, it's like honestly I don't even feel away because you're just wasting all this energy on me and I'm just chilling. So like I don't got a problem, you do. Yeah. You got the stress, Amy ain't gonna be me. I'm just out here living and breathing, and honestly I'm just me that like, why do you even care, you know? Yeah. So for me it's become that I've grown to feel like, for those who, again, no one's come in my face and been disrespectful, so we don't know what would happen if someone's treating me like a villain in my face. Yeah. So I haven't had to worry about that. Yeah. So for me, it's you have all that energy pent up. So I guess I could be a villain. I ain't even paying attention. So I've grown into that. When I was younger, definitely wasn't that way. I feel like a lot of times when people would react a certain way with me, didn't like me all of a sudden, little kid shit. Yeah. I wouldn't like that. And I would want people to like me. You need to like me. I'm this great person. Like, you can't have this perception of me. Yeah. And I've learned that people will know exactly who you are, but they intentionally want you to be the villain because they are envious, or because they can't live up to who you are, or because you're a threat to them, or because they admire you in a sense, and that's how they want to replace that. That's how they want to show that. I admire who you are as a person, and I can't be that, so I don't like you because you're too much now.
Yeah.
And I think that I would always be like, no, I'm amazing. I love everyone. I love you, so love me too. And I've learned that those people will prey on that when they know you want to be that way with them. Those people will know that you want to be cordial with them, friendly with them, and likable, that they'll be like, they make fun of you now, they laugh at you now, they judge you now, and you're still a villain to them because of their own notions. And honestly, they're the real villain for the most part. They're the ones that are doing these negative things to you because they want to have this sense of power over you. That's why I say it's a lot of power to give me if you don't like me, because you're using all the energy over there. But the moment I open myself up, become susceptible to the fact that I need you to feel better about me, they gain the power. So I'd rather you be mad than me be working towards someone that never really gave me a chance in the first place. So before, I'd be like, love me. Don't hug me, but love me. But now it's more like, honestly, I'm just chilling. You don't like me? I didn't even know. Okay, cool. Right? It's like, I didn't even know. What's your name again? Like, it really be like that.
Who is you again?
Yeah, so for me, I'm cool with it. I can't say that there's not moments where I feel away, because it sucks. Like, you don't want someone to just not like you for no reason. And I'm saying no reason because I really don't work and live in a way to really bother people, make people upset and stuff like that. So I truly think the people that dislike me and the people I can think of right now, they've created their own reasons. And honestly, do what you gotta do.
Whatever makes you sleep at night better.
You haven't been disrespectful in my face, so do what you gotta do over there. Because if it comes to me, and it would never, then we would handle it. But since it doesn't come to me, then again, it speaks to a lot of who you are and what you think of me. Because if I really was that bad of a person, you would have popped off and did some shit, I assume. Because that's what I would do. Like, if I was disrespectful to someone and they came after me and cursed me out and shit, I'd be like, you're right, I was disrespectful. But if I'm not disrespectful and you're not disrespectful, then it's just a whole lot of you worried about someone that ain't even worried.
He said, she said.
So yeah, I don't give a damn. Fuck the haters. That's where it's at. I can be your villain. I can do bad all by myself. I've said it before.
All the time.
I can do bad all by myself. So if you already try to make me out to be bad, you don't even gotta try. I do that shit myself.
I'll help you.
I don't help. I don't have to. I don't help the bad people. I can do it myself. So if you want a reason, just pay attention.
Ooh, I
you
like
know
that.
what I mean? Just pay attention. But if you want to create your own reasons and then you're just trying to be a hater. So fuck the haters, as always.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it.
How do you feel about being a villain?
It definitely took some time. I was also a people pleaser, so I did not like to be the villain. I did not move anywhere near the villain. So like it was very much like no, always peacemaking. Even my last name is Lape, French for peace. So like, you know, I'm always trying to keep the peace. But I've also come to terms that I am not going to how do I say this? I'm not going to remove my peace to help make someone else peaceful.
Because they probably ain't already peaceful. How you gonna win if you ain't right within? Go ahead. Lauren Hill for you a little bit.
Go ahead. But yes. And I will say, side note to your whole conversation before I go back to this, I loved what you said about the power. Don't you're giving me too much power in a space that you don't need, that I don't need in your life. And that is one reason why I do not hold grudges anymore. That's a huge thing. I used to hold a grudge for this person in middle school, and that lasted till college.
I feel you.
And when I tell you, like, that was ridiculous. It was the stupidest thing in the whole wide world. I don't even know why I did it, but I did. I held a grudge with this young man. We were in the cafeteria one day, and we were friends in elementary school. and we had not seen each other until middle school. And then when middle school came around, we were sitting in the cafeteria. I was in this seat. He was like far over there. And I was like, hey, like, you know, we went to middle school. Like, hey, how's it going? And he was just like, swerve, like, and he literally was just like, I'm too cool for school and you're not cool, so like, fuck you. And that moment I was just like, fuck you, fuck your mama, fuck it all. And I held on to that grudge so much that like, I remember one of my good friends was his best friend, and one day I had a scarf and I took off my scarf and gave it to her. In some way, shape, or form, I saw him walking with that scarf.
Ooh,
and when I saw that, I was like,
give my shit back.
But that's how strong of a hold of emotions that he had taken, that I gave him.
For some shit he probably doesn't remember.
Exactly. Because then when we talked about it in college, he was just like, huh? And I was just like, yeah, you did that. But he was just like, no, like, we cool now. And like, we're fine. But the thing is, yes, but still, like, again.
Because part of me would have been like.
But moving on, in the sense that like, I realized how strong of a hold I gave him because of how irrational I reacted over a scarf and then afterwards. And so now we're good friends, and but it was just like, damn, like I really gave so much power to that person that I didn't realize I was giving them so much power, and it was just like for nothing.
I would have given my
nothing.
shit back too, though.
yes
I would have though, but I understand.
I did. Yeah. But still, like, it was just like that power of like, they don't need that much power. They don't need that much power, and you can be focusing that energy in somewhere else. And till this day, no grudges anymore, ever. I
feel like there's a line with something that belongs to me, making it to someone that doesn't like me. So I feel you in the give me my shit back. No grudges, but I still don't fuck with you, so give me my shit back. Like, I could see, it makes sense to react that way. I'm just saying, maybe I still have some growth left in me. Would I do that? Yeah, fuck that shit. I don't fucking like it. I can think of particular people that show up with something of mine because a friend of mine let them use it. I'm gonna tell you right now,
it's going down.
And that's just because I have a unhealthy connection with my own belongings, but that's a whole different conversation. I don't want to say unhealthy, but very, very strong opinion about what's mine, in terms of
material.
No, not people. Material. I throw people in the trash, but my shit, my material, my things is a different story.
I throw people in the trash. I'm sorry.
The word unhealthy just bring it in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a whole different conversation.
But yes. So going back to that, like, yes, I love just unpacking that because again, like, it took a while for me to get there, but I'm no longer there. Sometimes I do get back in there, but you know, life is not linear. So
sometimes you be like, you really ain't shit. Okay. Because it becomes like, you really ain't shit, and I give you all that power because you really ain't shit. But whatever.
But like, really.
Yeah. But you gotta whatever it, but at the same time it's like, damn, you really ain't shit.
Lesson learned. And then going back to the villain, I think I've been really thinking about this specifically because of being a Caribbean daughter.
You're gonna say exactly what I've been thinking this whole time. Do it. Go ahead.
And do it, chime in. And she's like, yes, I will. So I am finally coming to terms with being associated or being seen or being labeled or being seen as the villain. And honestly, I am taking that with pride now because of the way that I was raised. And I didn't see it before, but I'm seeing a lot more now. Being a Caribbean daughter of two immigrant Dominican parents, and family members. The typical Dominican woman is obedient. She is quiet. She does what she needs to do. She stays in the kitchen. She cooks. She basically moves and grooves for the husband and makes sure that he is okay. And so I went on vacation this upcoming weekend, and one of the things that the men in the family came to terms with without without having the conversation with everybody else was that, oh, the women are going to cook. And so when everybody came together, they're like, oh, so like, you know, you guys are gonna cook, not knowing if they knew how to cook what the meal was supposed to be. But like, so then I was like, oh, so we're just gonna put all the women to cook? Like, y'all don't know how to cook? And they're like, and then one of them goes, oh, well, I'm on vacation. And I was like, oh, so what are the women doing right now? So, and then the minute that I was just like, they were like, you can just see their like minds bobbling, and they're just like, stop being like, you know, stop being,
you're trying to start a problem that's not even a problem.
Like, stop doing this. Like, you're just being a villain, basically, for lack of a better term. And I was like, no, because you're telling me that, like, so the women just need to cook for y'all, and you guys didn't have this conversation with anybody. So you guys just decided, oh, like, us among men, oh, the women will cook, they got this. And I was like, okay, so what do you guys know how to make? And then as I asked, none of them knew how to say nothing. So I was like, okay, so you want women to cook, but you don't even know how to cook in the kitchen. So you're telling me that, like,
you just want to be fed.
Basically. So like, just that conversation, but then also thinking about all of the other conversations that I've had with Caribbean family members, where they're very much like, if I ever stand up for myself, if I ever stand up for another woman, if I ever stand up for a child, if I ever stand up for somebody that deserves to be stood up for, but it threatens their machismo, it threatens the patriarchy, it threatens their control, it threatens their, like, whatever, like, they're gonna be like, well, you're being not even disrespectful isn't even like the simple terms for it. They will go as far as to, like, you are a disgrace to me, or you're a disgrace to the population, or like, it would be, disgraces is the least. Disappointment is not even, again, disappointment and disgrace are like the bottom barrel of like what terms and adjectives and ways that they would describe me, because I'm either standing up for a woman, standing up for myself, or just saying, like, just because traditionally this is what happens does not mean that it's okay. And so, like, I have really come to terms that it's just like, regardless of how they will perceive me, I know that I'm doing this because ultimately I want this to stop with me. And so if it means that I'm going to be labeled as the villain, then, like, label me as the villain. But, like, you know, now, the next time we start a conversation like this, you know where I stand, and I'm not going to allow it to keep going. So,
in terms of you as a child, right? Were you a yes child?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. I was too.
Yeah.
I still am, with one parent. The other parent, I'm cursing him out all the time, and I'd be like, and send me money. But that's the relationship we built.
Yeah.
So a lot goes into play with that, and being a yes child, and I've learned that traditional island people, I'll say island because I'm Creole and we're not in the Caribbean, but we came from the same place.
Yep.
And we were just spread around. But they just got really lazy with us and dropped us right there. But with just the island mentality and the machismo that runs in the, like, through this whole world, really, is like, if you say no,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you are bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you ask why,
Yes.
you are bad.
Yes.
If you do anything but say yes and do what you're told, you are considered bad.
Yes.
But what makes that bad? And a lot of us grow up with this kind of mentality of, like, the yes kids, I've learned through another podcast and through reading, is that the yes kids grow up being it's harder for us to make decisions. It's harder for us to be decisive and hold our own ground. And we also don't like to, we don't like to say no because we want to always seem like we're correct and we're good. So we lose that sense of ourselves. So we lose ourselves in the process and become yes people as we're older. And when we are trying to figure out ourselves in our lives, we become a mess because we don't know what's right and wrong because all we know is yes. So I could have been told to do something completely wrong, but I said yes. So to me, I lose that association.
Yeah.
So as I get older, you go through a phase in your life where you get hella confused on what to do for yourself because you've been so used to doing for other people.
Yeah.
But the people that grow up always saying no and being the bad kid and doing whatever the hell they want, when they get older, it's a lot easier for them to succeed in certain spaces because they know their worth, they know what they want, and they know how to say no.
Yes.
And I still struggle with that one parent, with my mom, because it is an instinct. It's becoming my instinct for her to ask for something that I have learned to either say, I've learned to either say that yes, or just ignore completely and not answer. So I don't have to say no. A yes child and how that correlates with being associated with being bad. I was never a bad kid. And that just explains the fact that I was always a yes child. I wasn't a bad kid that now that I'm older, both my parents do this, but they're always like, talk to your sibling. Give them advice. And I'm like, I don't fucking know what to tell them. I just said yes. But I don't want them to do that because sometimes, like, question the status quo. And I'm very much that person now. I'm very much like, question it, ask about it, like, don't settle and accept whatever. I just fall into the tendency with my mother of just either ignoring her completely if I don't want to do something, or just doing it because fuck it, this is where we're at in my life, and I still haven't worked through that. Even though I know deep down if I said I couldn't do something, she would just accept it. Yeah. It's just not even on her at this point. But like, they'll give me and tell me, like, I've been blamed for not talking to my sibling, and I'm just like, I didn't make them. Don't ask me to give them advice. Oh, you were so good. Honestly, I was good and miserable. So like, I was good and went through phases of being just sad and not knowing who to talk to or how to be, because all I knew was make sure I do everything right with you guys, and that's it.
Make sure to be obedient.
Make sure to be obedient. And that's the thing, I'm not obedient with the rest of the world, except for my mother. And that's something I've learned from many people, that is something that just doesn't break. And even if you want to break it, what's the point? And
what do you mean break it?
That that initial intent to just be like yes and do with it. Okay. Even though I'm a grown ass woman, I'm about to be 30. Like, why does that still do that to me? And I've had conversations with other people having Cape Verdean mothers. Like, I remember I tweeted something and it was about my mom, but it was just general. Yeah. Someone was like, oh, do this, say this. And I was like, how am I say that to my mom? She was like, girl, you should have said it was your mom from the beginning. Because if you said that, I would have just told you, girl, it is what it is. Like, I don't know what to say. You can't tell a Cape Verdean mother nothing. And I was just like, it's just hard to deal with, because it's like, you want to, but at the same time, it's like, what's the point? And that's how I feel about it. But I was never a villain in that sense, because I was always a yes child. But thinking about my siblings that were considered villains, it's because they didn't just yes things, or just do things correctly. They just lived and made mistakes and were people and did the mistakes they were supposed to do when they were young. Yep. That me, as I got older, was making mistakes that I should have been making when I was young. And I was just good. And it's just that I keep saying good, but it wasn't because I was good. I was obedient.
Yeah.
So I wasn't that villain, and I've learned now that I've gotten older. There's been moments that I haven't done certain things, or I do the ignoring thing, which is really not really nice, but I do that. And I had her come at me like, you just never answer the phone when I call you, and you do this and that. And it's just like, and it's more like her disappointed in me. And I'm just like, what you mad at though? Like, why are you mad? Because I just didn't do it. So I've gotten to the point that sometimes, like she'd come at me once and I was just like, you're mad at me for just not saying yes to you.
Yeah.
And I've accepted that. And I've learned through other people I've been around that you become a villain because you don't do what people want you to do for them.
Yes. Because you're not obedient anymore.
And that's why you, with a traditional mindset of being from island parents, is that you are bad because you don't want to fall for that. I need to be in the kitchen to serve you to eat. And the assumption is we're going on a trip and I'm going to cook for you.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been put in a position, like when I was married, it was his birthday. He wanted to have a fucking cookout for his birthday. And then everyone's making me grill. And I was like, so y'all not trying to eat? Because I'm the wife. No, I'm like, so y'all not trying to eat? Because I don't fucking know how to grill for shit. I can cook, but I don't fucking know how to grill.
Yeah.
I just haven't practiced that. And they had me on the grill. And no one was trying to help me. He wasn't. And it just was like, it got to a point that I just walked away from it. Because I was like, y'all, this shit don't make sense. And naturally, I didn't say anything. I just was really frustrated that I couldn't do something in that moment.
Yeah.
And it was an expectation of me. And I mean, now I'd be like, fuck y'all. If y'all want to eat, go fucking grill.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if I'm the wife. Talk shit. I'm the worst wife in the world. I don't give a fuck. Y'all can grill. Like, and I can see why you become that.
Yeah.
And as long as you're happy with yourself, fuck the haters.
I think that for me, and I just want to clarify that I wasn't upset that, like, because I do like cooking too. Like, had we had a conversation collectively and said, like, hey,
the cooks,
you
the
know,
people that love to cook.
Yeah, like, you know, let's collectively have this conversation. That would have been one story, but just the, like, we came to a consensus ourselves, and we have, and even the terminology that they used, it was like, we have, like, you guys need to do this. And it was just like, this doesn't sit well with me, and I'm not gonna sit here and allow it to just be. Knowing that, like, the women in this room, because I was the only single person there, so, like,
knowing that they will
speak up for themselves. Like, I'm definitely not trying to speak for them, but I also wanted to say.
You just want to put it out there too, that
like,
I want you guys in this room to understand what exactly is happening right now with what you're doing.
Yes. And so that didn't sit well with me. And then with, like, mainly the men, Caribbean men in my family, I've become much more wiser, and am not trying to be just obedient, but do right. And because now my mindset is not just obedience, but rather do right, I will not just say yes to everything, like you said. And so because I'm not saying yes to everything, and I am speaking up, and I am talking back, and I am fending for myself, it definitely doesn't sit well with a lot of Caribbean men in my family.
But that's an ego thing.
Oh, it definitely is. It's I'm hurting their pride in ways that, like, they don't want it to be hurt. And I'm hurting their machismo in ways that, like, how dare you? Because your mother, your grandmother, and your great-grandmothers weren't doing that to the men in that family. So, like, why do I deserve this? Yeah. So,
girl, like I said, I can do bad by myself, and I say that in the really meaning I can be a villain and just not care. I will be the bad guy if I have to. If I'm in a room and someone has to be the bad guy, I shall be her. And I shall do it with my head held high, my attitude on 100, and when I leave that room, I'll still be able to eat and sleep. So, and be happy with myself.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what was, like, really populating in my head when it came to villains, and just being okay with that label. When when in reality, again, like, you're not a villain. You're just either removing status quo or at least breaking status quo, and or speaking for yourself.
And even questioning the status quo is something that has people up in an uproar sometimes. And I've gotten it in my family when I've mentioned things. I think even like when it comes to like my mom's side of the family, like I've always been very observant. So I saw how you got down when you was in your 20s. Mm-hmm. So don't come at me now, or whoever is my age now, on what they're doing, because I saw what you was doing. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, you can't wear that, you can't do that. And it's just like, but I can remember the specific outfit you wore to the club one night that you dropped me off at the babysitter's. I went to the babysitter so you can go to the club, and of course you should be able to, and I'm talking about my mama. Party, have fun, live it up.
Yeah.
Shit, I wouldn't have happened if it wasn't one club night, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, live it up. But now I just don't understand where that flips and it becomes,
no,
it's this ugly thing. And even when it comes to relationships, and even when it comes to sexuality and homosexuality, like, comments have come up that I'm like, you were never like, I'm the way I am because you were never that person, and now you're that person now, and you don't like that I'm this way.
Yeah.
But like, you raised me, luckily both my parents raised me in a sense that I've never been homophobic, I've never been racist, I've never been in a household that had colorism that I can even think back to. Mm-hmm. I've didn't get that at home.
Yeah.
You know, so like, now that I am really, I can say I'm lucky in that sense, because now I am here the way I am because I didn't have those things to have to break off. And I can think that some things did come up, not specifically for my parents, but in family. Yeah. That I can think now, or I never really thought negatively of people in general in terms of race, stuff like that, but like, I'm sure someone in my family said some shit about hair or whatever when I was younger. I mean, my hair was relaxed when I was 8, so that shit did come into play. But like, I think in general, I wasn't in spaces where I felt like, oh, that person is this and that person is that. Mm-hmm. So I give her that, but like, don't do that shit now that you older. And I just be looking at her like, I still remember those white boots. I want a pair myself that you wore that one night. Yeah. But I think just with me at this age, and like you, like, being the villain is whatever, because everyone has their own perception and opinion and whatever they want to think of you. There are people that have said that people are scapegoated and become the villain. Yeah. Because people just make people out to be something because of their own issues that they struggle with. Their own insecurities, opinions, their egos. Just because your balls didn't drop don't mean you can be mad at me because I'm calling you out on your shit.
You have been like throwing jabs throughout this whole episode, and I'm here for it.
I feel like I throw jabs a lot.
No, yeah. Still friends, yes, she does.
I'm a Leo rising.
Which means?
It means I'm like a fire sign in a sense.
We'll take her in.
And then my Cancer moon comes into play, and I'm just like, fuck you, but also I love you as a human being. Like, I really don't care for you, but I also want all that's best for you. I lied on that last part. If I don't fuck with you, I really don't give a damn. Okay, but this ain't about me. But yes, the villain thing, who gives a fuck? Fuck the haters, that's it.
So,
even if they're family.
Well, in the sense that, like, you can say fuck the haters in the sense of,
fuck
like,
the status quo.
Yes, fuck the status quo, and continue to, like, live in your truth. Yeah. And remember that if sometimes you are being considered the villain, really pay attention to, are you being a villain because you are doing something malicious, or because you are breaking someone's insecurities, or breaking someone's ego, or breaking someone's status quo. So just think about that, because sometimes there are points when we can be villains, in the sense of, like, maybe the way that we said it truly did hurt them. and and so we might have to be mindful of the way that we're saying or something along those lines. But just think about the experiences and the times and the memories that you've been a villain, and have you been able to step outside of yourself and reflect on that moment? Have you been able to reflect on a moment to figure out what really was in play? Was it that someone's emotions were being hurt? Was it that you were being disrespectful or rude to someone, or that you're breaking someone's ego, you're breaking someone's control? You know, like what really is going into play in that situation?
And then learning the difference.
Yes.
And I think that's the hardest part.
Yes.
Is learning exactly what makes you the bad guy. And if you are really fucking up, acknowledging that.
Accountability,
yeah. That's a big one. But yeah, it's really learning the difference, and that helps you with moving on from certain perceptions of even yourself when it comes into that, and learning to get to the point that like I can do bad or by myself, because I've learned that, you know, I'm happy and content with who I am as a person because I know my intentions, I know how I move, and when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And there's just a difference between right and wrong, and you learn that very young. Morality is something we are taught. Maybe not all of us, because some people really ain't moral out here, but like in general, there is morality. So there is that right and wrong, and if you move with the intent of not being an asshole, then move, apologize when you have to, and forgive yourself and others when you have to, and just keep living in this world.
Yeah. So stepping into you, I would say lessons that I feel like we have spoken about, and ways to fully continue to step more into you. Grudges are not worth holding. Grudges are not worth holding.
Coming from Eerees, I have not, on my end, completely. I agree, but like,
we're not there yet.
There's some people out here.
Grudges are not worth holding.
I'm not giving them power though.
People do not deserve people do not deserve to have so much of your emotions and your energy in that sense.
That's why we block people out here.
Mute exists too.
Mute, I block. I want you blocked. I can't see you, you can't see me, and that's it. And when you see me on the street, just remember you blocked in real life.
So more or less, be mindful of your growth, because I think that also, speaking on both Daphne and I, coming from yes girls, and turning into right women, being more mindful of stepping away from being obedient and stepping more into being just, because at the end of the day, yes, we come from Caribbean and island families, and there are traditions and there are ways, there are cultural upbringings and things of that nature that are going to continue to stifle our heritage and culture. But one step at a time, we got this. We got this. We got this. And if you are a Caribbean child and or an uncle, you know what we're talking about. We got this.
What's your villain name?
My villain name is
La Mariposa, the evil butterfly. How do you, which is really an oxymoron.
Facts.
But you're the evil butterfly, but you have to say it in Spanish.
La mariposa mala. I like it. My villain name is La Mariposa Mala.
It's like, how does it make sense? But it makes sense.
What about you?
Oh, it's just damn Daph out here. The name already exists for a reason. Can do bad all by myself. Say it all day, every day.
Daphne Emily, aka Damn Daph. You heard it here, soul friends. And if you have a villain name, share it with us. And then from stepping into you, again, I think I just more reflected on some of the things that we spoke about. If there's anything else you feel like resonated with this conversation that we want to reignite or remind folks of.
Fuck the haters.
That too.
That's really
And stand up for yourself. I think that's the number one thing also from this conversation, regardless of if it may make you seem like a villain. As long as you're standing up for yourself in a way that you feel is right, continue to do so. And then from stepping into you is what's resonating with she. Damn, Daph.
So stepping into you and stepping into fashion forward.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
It's because I'm never prepared. And she's just
So
like,
friends,
you ain't got
I'm
nothing
so sorry.
today. You ain't got nothing for me today, as always. So we just can go to resonating with you. But I just felt like she still exists, you know?
The mariposa mala came out. I'm sorry.
I'm also not prepared today, as always. But I did, since I kind of touched on the way people dress.
Yes.
Did want to mention that, and maybe we can have like a quick conversation about that.
Okay.
In terms of like in your family, I mean, describing you and knowing you, it might be a little different, but in your family, because I know how you dress, you've been the eclectic one of the family.
Yes.
You can say.
Yes.
So there's always different roles people play in families, but in your growth, when it comes to how women dress, how has that been kind of presented to you in your family?
This is actually hilarious, but actually not hilarious at the same time, because I was actually having this conversation with my mother, and I'm going to be fully transparent with you soul friends and share some stuff that, like, you know, happens behind the scenes, but I will share it with y'all. So someone is knocking, and we are recording for Soulful She right now, so thank you. So one of the stories that a conversation that I had recently with my mother is that it might actually be her that was knocking. Is she there? Oh, okay. One of the conversations that we had was that I was actually low-key curated to become a hoe. I'll break this down for y'all.
It doesn't sound like a bad way to be curated, but go ahead.
So basically, when I was little, I had uncles and I had family members that were very much like, why aren't your nails painted? Why aren't you wearing mini skirts? Why aren't your shirts, like, you know, tucked up, and like, you know, why aren't you flaunting what you have? And, you know, so like it was very much like they were poaching me to like be a certain way and live a certain lifestyle, and I guess I wasn't built for that lifestyle because that's not what I do. But basically my mom and I were reflecting on like a lot of the things that my family members wanted me to do would have been geared towards low-key becoming a hoe without fully realizing it. Because then if you ask those same people about the daughters that they now have, you couldn't even tell them something like that, because it's like, why would you even say that about my daughter? So it's just like,
Why would you do it with someone else's daughter?
You know, but again, like
every family has to have one.
And had I fully listened, like I could have low-key became a hoe, but I didn't, and I'm very thankful for that. Because I will say a lot of my family members, they like the dress wise, it's very different, because like my dad's side of the family, they all wear tight pants and tight all that shenanigans, but then like my mom's side is very much like, well, we are people that wear pearls, and so because we wear pearls, you know, our shirts need to be tucked in all the way, and we only wear fancy stuff, and we need to be modest. So like it's been both sides of the family that I have, but that has affected my lifestyle as well, because like I very much am modest myself. Like I knew men and I knew boys and I knew the lifestyle that I grew up with, where like if I was walking to the bus stop and I was walking down my street, my house was a house, but on the corner of that street were the projects. So anytime I had to walk down that street, there were at least 5 boys and 3 men sitting in that corner, waiting for me, seeing me from afar, knowing that I was going to walk down that, and just prepared to just like
catfall.
Basically. So like I also saw the eyes and the mouths and the words, and so like me myself, I also became modest for that reason, where it's like I knew that saying of like, you know, cover up when family members come into the house, not specifically because of my family members, but just because of that saying. Exactly. And stories that I've heard where it's just like I would not, like, I shouldn't have to cover up.
Okay.
So like that's one thing I will say, I shouldn't have to cover up, but I grew up covering up because I didn't want those eyes on me. I didn't want people to look at me that way. I didn't want to be a target in spaces that I knew and had heard stories that they became targets because of that. And so in this very moment, you wear whatever the fuck you want to wear, regardless of what it is.
Because a pervert's still going to be a pervert no matter what the fuck you wear. And it ain't about you, it's about them being a fucking pervert.
So yes, and unfortunately I didn't learn that until later on. So because of that, I was very modest, very, very modest. And I've only like college and a little more became more comfortable with my skin, but I've always been modest for that reason. That was a lot.
It was good though. And I think for me, I wasn't raised around a lot of family because they weren't all here. They're all here. Like more people are in America now. But I was younger. I think I was just the fat one. So I never really, they didn't have to worry about the fat one getting people looking at her.
Yeah.
As the fat one.
Yeah.
So for me though, I think in general, both family parents didn't really have a thing about what to wear. Because I had a sister that was skinny or whatever. She wore whatever she wants. I have another sister that's more tomboy, but wear what you want. Like in terms of the family, like the parents I've never felt that like you can't wear certain things. I just had my insecurities of wearing certain things. So it wasn't because of sexual anything. It was because I was fat that I was told I shouldn't wear certain things.
Okay.
So that's the issue I had. But I think just going off of what you said, it's just unfortunate that we are raised in backgrounds that it is that way, that they make people think that you can't wear certain things because if you do, you're attracting attention, and you wore that to get attention. And it's really fucking bullshit, because rapists are still going to rape no matter what the fuck you wear, and it's not because what you wear. And I just hate that we live in a world that's the excuse that comes up. And I think my initial question that I asked, I completely forgot, so I'm going to stay on this topic. But really, what I learned about wearing. Also, my mom was the hottest chick on the block. Every time my mom tells me my dad, she didn't tell me the story, because when you know about yourself, you ain't gotta tell the story, right? You carry yourself a certain way because you just like, I've always been it, I'm still it, right? But my dad would tell the story about how like who she was, and she would be the one that would walk down the street, had the banging body, everyone wanted her kind of thing. So and I grew up seeing her, and she would wear whatever, and it wasn't anything that made me feel like, oh my God, that's, I've never felt that, and I've never was taught that. So I don't see people wearing certain things and be like, oh my God, that's slutty. Maybe my taste and your taste are not the same. But it's not so much about you shouldn't wear that because you're being a slut or a hoe.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm gonna tell you, if I think back, the people in my family, I saw what you did when I was younger. So for me, I learned a lot about sexuality and even the way style plays into it as a woman, that I would never felt. The only time whole horror came into play was in school. Because people would make those comments, oh, she's a hoe for this, she's a hoe, you know, people did that. But when it came into my family, I never heard cheese me in the sense that this person was this or that, because I was seeing what they was doing, and they were still living their lives, doing well, and no one was hating, talking shit about anybody. So I guess I had, in terms of my background in general, luckily I had a lot of non-judgmental parents, or they didn't do it in my face so much. They have judgmental things that they do that I know of, but I think from what I've taken in terms of perception and opinions of people, I learned my opinion really doesn't fucking matter about other people. Wear what you wear, and the same thing when it comes to people's opinion of me. Wear what I wear. If I'm comfortable, I'm comfortable. If I'm uncomfortable, I just don't wear it, kind of thing. So that's something that I can also appreciate. Everything else came into play when I was older. So like, people wear certain things because they're asking for it type of mentality. I learned when I was older, so it didn't break through to me. It's always something I fought, and it's obviously something that should be fought, right? So in terms of fashion forward and mentioning that, I guess, fuck people's opinions about what you're wearing.
Fuck the haters.
Fuck the haters. A rapist and rape culture exists, and the person at fault is the rapist.
Regardless of what she is wearing.
Regardless of who she is, what she does for work, how she breathes, how she eats, the color of her lipstick, the color of her hair, her complexion, her butt size, her breast size. It doesn't fucking matter who she is. A rapist is going to be a fucking rapist because they're a rapist. And that's it. And I'll end it on that point, because really at the end of this whole conversation, when it comes to women and what people objectify us about, it internally becomes the misogyny in this world and the rapists that live and walk this world that have built rules so they can pleasure themselves as the assholes that they are. So that's it. Fashion forward.
Bam. Wow.
Maybe it should have been skipped.
Drop, but
so what's resonating with you?
After all of that, soul friends,
It's really been a really fuck people conversation on my end today.
It really sounds like the title should be "Fuck the Haters."
We just can't say that, because then people will be like, "Damn, oh, we could say that."
And we don't know.
We'll see what happens.
But what's resonating with she? I think what is resonating with she is the need to continue to be unapologetically you, regardless of who is speaking, regardless of what is happening, regardless of the he's, who's, has. Continue to unapologetically be you, because when you are unapologetically being you, life will grant you and open the doors that are necessary for you. That's all I can think about right now.
That's great. Unapologetic. You're on this couch. We just don't give a fuck. That's really it. No. What's resonating with me is that's all that's resonating with you. Just being unapologetically you. Unapologetically you.
So I will say we used to do music and we haven't been doing music. So let me bring that back. So there's this new song that I learned about today, and it is Sinner.
Adekunle Gold.
Yes, say that again.
Adekunle Gold.
That person with Lucky Day came up with a song, a beautiful song.
It's my baby. I love him. Go ahead.
Yes, called Sinner. And if you haven't all heard it yet, do so.
That's his wife with him in the photo.
Really?
And that's Simi. She sings. She sings on the song Doyen in another song.
Oh.
She's up in that. She's like the second song on that playlist of
Hello.
mine. And you sent me that song today. I was like, I listened to it since last Wednesday, and if you went into the playlist, you probably would have saw it there.
Which playlist?
My Afro.
Oh, so Daphne has this Afro beat playlist. I will also put it here so that you can get hip. So yeah, that's what's resonating with she.
Yeah, oh, I love that song. I heard it. I did think to myself to send it to you, and I did not.
Whatever.
Because
I would have been listening to it since Wednesday.
I just don't, like, I really thought I should send this to you, but then I even shared it on my Twitter, but I didn't send it to you because I was like, here's other songs I kind of need to share. And that's what I sent. But now I know when I think, send her this song.
Send
her the song. Yeah. So, yeah, I listened to his last album. It's amazing. And him and his wife dropped a song called Birthday for their daughter. And it's a good song. I mean, I didn't even know they were married, but I've always seen them a lot. And I don't know why I knew they were married and didn't connect that they were married to each other until recently.
Okay.
But they made like the perfect power like musician couple, and their daughter's gonna grow up being a badass musician if she wants to, just like them if she wants to. But I just can imagine her home. Like there must be like music just I'm assuming,
every room.
but I just feel like the artists that they are. So this is what's resonating with me. Artists that they are, I feel like they live and breathe music. You can tell that, and I feel like, yeah, they do. Their music's great. Their voices are amazing. Yeah, they're a power couple.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's what's resonating with She.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs by him, Adekunle Gold, Adekulne, Gold, Gold, is When You Wake Up. Before you wake up.
Okay.
It's my favorite happy song. Like he's basically saying like before you wake up, like I want to make sure I do all these things for you. Like I want to take you on vacation twice. I want to take you on vacation for 6 months twice in a year. That's a line in the song. So like basically the whole year we on vacation. You know what I mean? Like, but the song is so good, and that's how I like was introduced to him.
Yep.
From that song, because it just came on and like I had it on repeat, and I'm just like, this song makes me happy, and then from there I just got more into him. So yes, I love him. But yeah, I'm just gonna say that's what resonated with me. Afro beats always resonates with me. You know, Bia from out here in Massachusetts also dropped a song with Nicki. She had her song, but Nicki hopped on her song for the remix. And I've been a fan of Bia for a while, and then when I found out she was from Massachusetts, I said, but you family, you know, like I have to support you. And I've actually been following her for a while, kind of waiting for her moment, because I knew it was coming. Like I could see her growth.
Yeah.
And she has Nicki on her song that blew up. So
hey,
that's it. That's what's resonating with me.
And if you ever want to send us songs, suggestions, or music that you think that we would love, send it our way, soul friends. And with that being said, my name is Eerees.
And I am Daphny Emily.
And this is Soulful She. I am the one that says the next line.
Unless you want to say my line.
He can listen. They can listen. But she is speaking.
It's funny how she said that correctly as soon as I threatened her with my line. But we may be one more drop in the ocean, but we just might be that last sip to quench your thirst.
Ooh.